Hi, friends. I am Lauren Page, and I am coming at you quick today with a little mini training on how to increase our capacity. So often in the business entrepreneur world, so many people toss around the words like burnout, overwhelm, overworked. And what nobody actually teaches us to avoid those things is how to increase our capacity, like capacity for life, for business, for all the things. So we're going to dive right in. I prepared a couple slides for you today where we can dig into these 4 tips on how to expand your capacity. And if you are new to this channel, I am a business strategist and life coach, predominantly for creative women entrepreneurs, purpose-driven coaches, service providers, everything from launching your e-product all across the board. We really focus on taking impeccable care of our clients. All right. So number one is you've got to experience a win. You're like, well, why didn't I think of that? And really celebrate the heck out of it. And so what that means is from an early age, I mean, who remembers like kindergarten gold stars? From an early age, our brain is wired on a positive feedback loop. So if we get a gold star, we want more. The more that you are critical and hard and begrudging on yourself, the less likely that you're going to want to do the things. It's also going to be very, very draining for your life force energy. So your tip in this bucket is 2 things. One, you can gamify it. I would offer to give yourself a 5 or 7 day challenge that I want you to write down one, ideally 3, but at least 1 to 3 wins that is happening in your business right now. And if you're like, well, you don't understand, this is the lowest sales month I've ever had, or my clients are firing me, or everything's coming apart, I would still offer that there is still a space for you to find a win. And the smaller, the better, because that's what builds upon builds upon. Maybe it's like, oh my gosh, I was able to connect these 2 people and now they're like amazing referral partners, whatever it may be. The other side of this is I would speculate there was a season in your business where you were winning, where like everything was in flow state, that kind where you're like up late at night because the time just flies by, or you get up early in the morning because you're really motivated. So during that season, what I like to look at is for really objective data. So during the season where like things were going really great, I ask myself, who was I being back then? Was I being more curious, more resourceful, more open, less jaded, less like cool girl syndrome of I know it all already? And then, even specifically, what was I doing back then? So often we throw the baby out with the bathwater and we think, nothing's working in my business, nothing's working in my health goals. And really, I would speculate if you look back to a time where you were crushing it, there's probably some hints and some clues like, oh, maybe my partner was really supportive and helping with the kids a little bit extra. Maybe I was really consistent with a workout program. Maybe I was just drinking some extra water each day. All of these little micro hints are like, oh, what if I just looped that back in to what I'm doing now and seeing if it will help increase my energy levels? I guarantee it will. Spoiler alert, it will. All right. Next one is fall in love with the work, not the goal. And you're like, well, wait a minute. Like, I'm already working a ton. What do you mean fall in love with the work? So, what I would speculate is, unless you are watching this and you are truly doing physical, hot, manual labor, 7 days a week, 12-hour shifts that just truly wears and tears on our body, a lot of times, not to be insensitive, but we're really not experiencing burnout, in that type of way. And some might argue that emotional burnout is comparable. And what I would say is really, it's that these other things are dragging us down and once again, sucking out that life force energy. So when I say fall in love with the work, not the goal, a lot of times the reason we feel burnout is because we are either coming up short on the goals we have set for ourselves, we have hit a plateau in our business, we are like on the hamster wheel of doing the same thing over and over again every day. These are all reasons why we experience burnout. And so, what I like to do in this category, your tip is morning client blessing. You're like, well, wait a minute. I would speculate if you are an entrepreneur, you chose your service to offer a service or solve a problem for a client. Like that's what inspired you to go into business for yourself. And so, really bringing it back to the very basics. to just taking care of that one client. So what this looks like for me is when I get up in the morning and I'm doing whatever, like meditation or just like a couple thoughts before I get out of bed, is I truly go through the Rolodex of all of my clients. And even if you're like, oh my God, I don't even have a client yet, then go through your prospects and just say a blessing for them. Send them some good energy, say a prayer, whatever your flavor of that is. It will really help you remember why you got into what you're doing. And I promise, like where you're coming from in your heart space for the rest of the day will just make your productivity go through the roof. Okay, 2 more to go. Number 3 is don't confuse your timelines. So often we make these beautiful vision boards in January when we're all jazzed up, and then come Q3 and Q4 when all of our wildest dreams haven't come true yet, we feel like losers and failures. And so we take ourselves out of the game. And so what you can do to like just encourage your brain, our brains will typically get on board with about 50% more than we're currently doing. So what that means is if you are currently having a 2K revenue month and you want to be at 10K, rather than shooting for 10K failing, and just really letting it diminish your self-esteem, think, all right, I know how to do 2K. Maybe next month I'll do 3K. Maybe the next month I'll do 4K. Not as sexy, but it will get you to that 10K way quicker, I promise. And then the last one is metric deadlines are optional. So this is really funny because quite frankly, people hire me to increase their metrics, to increase their revenue, to help get clients, to launch a product or a course, to bring more value to their practice. That's why people hire me as a business strategist. And so it's a little bit ironic that I'm saying those metric deadlines are optional. And so what I mean by this is typically what happens. Let's say we set that same 10K goal to hit by the end of the month. End of the month rolls around, you're at $8,500. So you can do what most people do and say, oh God, I felt like I came up short. And even if you're like, oh, well, that's okay. It's okay. I'll try again next month. What starts to happen is one of two things. It starts to like insidiously creep into our business. We are either very apathetic about like, oh, no big deal. I'll try again. And then you know you're not going to hit it. So you stop going to networking events. You post less on social. You don't do your follow-ups. Or you just truly beat yourself up and then you spiral out for a week or two before you can get back on track. So that stopping and starting is what's really shooting you in the foot. Versus the tip here is, what if I just kept going? We've still got that 10K goal. What if you just kept going and it takes 5 weeks or maybe 6 weeks to get to the 10K? In the scheme of things, is it really that big of a deal that it took you 6 weeks instead of 4 weeks to hit your 10K goal? And now you have so much more data for the next month. Now you're like, all right, maybe I can try to do it in 5 weeks or 4 weeks. Or now I know exactly what I need to do, or I can increase the revenue goal. So it just gives you so much more objective data without letting your mind run away from you and steal all of your life force energy. That's the common theme here is how can we keep the very limited energy that we have as humans in the society that we're in today increasing in capacity and not being sucked out. And then as a catch-all, if you're truly like, oh, I'm dragging, what do I do? What I would offer is, what would my wisest self do today? That's the question you're going to ask yourself. And if you are somebody that doesn't resonate with, I would speculate it's because you're more likely to help others before you'll help yourselves. So in that case, I want you to ask this question instead. If my sister, if my bestie came to me and said, what's my next right move? What advice would you give them? Because that is typically the advice that we should be taking ourselves. All right, so hopefully this was super valuable. If you want to stay connected in my world, I love to offer complimentary business analysis. This is my beautiful family over here. This is where we hop on a call for an hour and truly see what's working, what's not working, blind spots, how we can adjust and see if a coaching relationship makes sense at that point. All right, have a beautiful day.